Hi all, I'm back here again with this position that you saw in the previous video. The game that I played at letsplaychess.com, the game with the Ningzo Indian defense. And at this point I told you that I had missed this idea of winning, trapping the bishop on c7 by moving e5 here. And then I continued my story about how the game went, but I decided to take a longer look at this position because of the fact that also black has an undefended piece here on d7. The knight on d7 is undefended. That means that white could try to use this in order to save this bishop. By moving rook to d1, white attacks this d7 knight. That means that here the idea of rook c8 doesn't work anymore, because then simply rook takes d7 and white has won a piece. That means that after rook to d1 we need something else for black. We need to save this knight first. We could bring it to c5, knight to c5, but now we start seeing that this rook on d1 was not only attacking the knight, it was also eyeing to this square, d6. So now the bishop can later go to d6 to try to escape. Now let's have a look at what would happen if we would continue here analyzing. And there are two things actually important. One is that now the undefended piece of a pawn of white here is attacked on e4 by the knight on c5. If white defends this, then we can with black continue trying to attack this bishop on c7 by playing the knight to e6. And if white tries to escape using this idea of the d6 square that is connected to the rook, then black would play rook to d8, and now the bishop is totally trapped. It can be defended one more time by a knight to f5, but then simply g6 attacks this defender. So then the knight must go away and the bishop falls, and also a check here doesn't help, because simply king to g7 for example, and in the next move white loses a piece. If we go back now to this point, there is also another interesting possibility, and that is the move bishop to b6, this one. Why is this so interesting? Well, because after knight takes b6, then black has two undefended pieces now. These two knights are both undefended. That means that there could be attacked by the rook, both knights at the same time. And now things are not that clear, you see. So this position, this whole variation that starts with this move e5 is much more complicated. There is much more in the position than we would think by looking at the position so superficial. If we look a little deeper, we discover much more. Now what if after bishop to b6, do we have something else here? Because if we take the bishop, then rook to d6 will follow, and one of the knights will fall. I don't see here a clear possibility. Let's see what the engine Fritz thinks about this position. It says that, well, it gives some advantage to black still, and it proposes to play the rook to the second rank here. Now the material is still equal, but we have of course more piece activity with black. This knight is perfect here, and the rook on the second rank, I'm sorry, wrong arrow. The rook here on the second rank is also very strong. Still, I think if I would have to play this position, I would really have to be very careful to win it, to try to win it. White could continue here with rook to d5, attacking this pawn on b5. It could be defended by the rook. And bishop c5 would have the idea of controlling this b4 square, so the pawn cannot advance. So there are so many complications that can arise. The conclusion at this point that I can take is that in the initial position, I'll go back there, this one, the move e5 is absolutely very interesting, but it's not as simple as I thought before. The thing is that in this kind of positions, the position is so open, there are so many undefended pieces also, and this indicates that there are many hidden possibilities, hidden tricks. And well, let's be honest, that's why we love chess, because it's a puzzle that is never solved. We keep looking at positions, and if we find then different variations and more ideas, and this is what attracts us so much to this beautiful game. Okay, I hope you found this second video interesting. Leave your comments on YouTube, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.